What's up, Christy? One Love Fellowship for Followers of Christ. It's frustrating because this video is actually live right now. But I feel like I need to make this video right now because I can't focus on what I'm trying to watch because my mind keeps being pulled to this other thing. And I think that I need to clarify my stance on like IVF and things like that, because I know that some of the comments that I make could be construed in a way that makes it seem like I am anti-IVF. Like, I don't think that people who struggle with infertility should have the option to... That's not it. Just to be clear, as someone who... Loki's napping on me, so I'm trying not to disturb him, but... as someone who has had my fertility hijacked in more ways than one for decades upon decades now, and someone who would still hope to be able to conceive naturally and carry a child to term in spite of my advanced age, I absolutely support I support the right of a woman to choose in terms of her reproductive system in all ways, at all stages. Like, I feel like we as women, particularly as a result of having had our rights completely stripped of us and being considered property for the majority of history, of human history, I think that we deserve the right to say when, where, how, we choose to procreate. That's just a given. And if there's technology available medically to assist with whatever needs assistance, then, I would not be someone to say, no, you should not have access to that. That's not where I'm coming from. From a human standpoint, that's a free will thing, From a higher level standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, I just wish people would be more responsible, on every side of the issue, If you keep finding yourself, conceiving when you're not trying to conceive, and you're not wanting to conceive, and it's because maybe you're not being very careful in attempting to prevent conception, either by the activity you're engaging in or the fact that you're not using any precautions while engaging in that activity, and then you just look at it like, well, I can just run to the clinic. It's not a big deal. That's an unhealthy mentality. Okay, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but that's a very unhealthy mentality for you and for any potential children you might have. And don't get me wrong, if that's the mentality you're in, I would honestly prefer that you did not become a mother yet, because, clearly you're not in the mindset for that. But if you don't stop and recognize, A, that's an unhealthy mentality, and B, what God is trying to, or if you don't believe in God, that's fine. I'm trying to be accommodating. So regardless of your beliefs, understand, like, the universe is trying to tell you something if that keeps happening to you. And a lot of times what it's telling you is that you need to slow way down. The path that you're on is destructive, and you're going to destroy yourself and any potential children you might have if you don't take a step back and reassess. And the reason that I say that, it isn't just spirituality, it's honestly experience as well, and we all have our trauma that leads to our choices, and not everyone who chooses to engage, let's say outside of the confines of marriage, intends to be promiscuous. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we are exploited to a level that even we don't comprehend, and we don't realize how much trouble we're getting ourselves into, how much our choices is contributing to the experiences that we have that might not be our choice. That is not to victim blame. That is me reflecting on my own experiences of realizing sometimes that due to the traumatic upbringing, due to the conditioning, due to society, it was difficult to know how to navigate in such a way that I didn't inadvertently make myself a target. That doesn't excuse anyone's behavior. I'm just saying, taking responsibility for my choices. If you are engaging in a promiscuous manner while not wanting to have children, and you're not taking precautions, and you continue to find yourself pregnant, that's literally life trying to course correct for you. It's not even necessarily that God wants you to have a baby. Again, if you don't like the term God, please don't be offended. You can switch that out for whatever makes you comfortable. Okay, my upbringing was in the Christian terms, and my faith is in source, period. So anyway, sometimes it's literally just saying you need to take a step back. You need to reassess. You need to separate from the people that you're surrounding yourself by right now. You need to consider what's truly going to be best for you in the long term, not just what feels good for right now. For me personally, I found out I was pregnant within 3 months of turning 21. I did not drink until my 21st birthday. I had no intentions of drinking, but I was gifted a top shelf Long Island iced tea at midnight on my 21st birthday, and had this insane mentality that said, oh, well, someone gave you this as a gift, so you have to drink it. Don't be like me. Just say no. I wanted to say no. I should have said no. It shouldn't have mattered if it was a gift. Anyway, within 3 months, I was well on my way to a binging disorder and being terribly taken advantage of. I'll say that. That's a mild way of putting it. But terribly taken advantage of during those binges in that state. So when I became pregnant with my oldest child, I chose life, because at my core, that's, that's just me personally. I wanted to choose life the first time around. I wanted to give that child up for adoption if necessary. But after experiencing what I experienced at 14, I absolutely did not want to go to those types of clinics. Again, not to be offensive to anyone. This is just how my experience played out. So I ended up going to a Christian-based crisis pregnancy center, and I thought that I was getting a lot of really good help. And some of it was, I'm not knocking the support that I did get and the ways in which that they definitely did help me. I joined their mega church. There was something exploitative about it, and the thing that I remember at about 6 months pregnant, this overwhelming feeling that I was supposed to give my child up for adoption and go to college, specifically one particular school here in Middle Tennessee, the one my kid ended up going to. I became overwhelmed by this because I wanted to do what was best for my child, although I did not want to not be the one to raise my child. I wanted to be able to, that was more than anything else that I wanted or had planned for myself. I wanted that more than anything, motherhood. So the thought of not raising my child was heartbreaking, but worse was the thought of disappointing my child, letting my child down, not being able to provide the type of life I wanted to provide for my child. And so when I became convicted that what I needed to do was find, with the 3 months, that I had left, find a couple, find a family, hopefully one who wouldn't completely cut me out one who would allow me to get updates and maybe come visit at like birthdays and important events, something like that. Be like the fun auntie if possible. Anyway, I was reassured overwhelmingly by the ladies from my church that was not what God wanted me to do. And what's crazy is I don't know why I thought that because they were church people, they somehow could possibly know what God wanted for me more than I did. When at my core, I already knew who I was to God. But I listened to them because the thought of giving up my child was heartbreaking. And the thing is, Source was never telling me. The point was to allow me to be the vessel for that child. And I'm honored that that particular soul chose me, to be their vessel. But it was to reset me, to make me stop doing all the things that was destroying myself, and to distance myself from all the people that, were contributing to that, which I did. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, like, so much shifted because it became about my kid. And had I accepted that I wasn't ready to raise that child, but that child was a gift to let me know, to give me a reset, to say, hey, you're going to find me the right family to raise me, and I'm going to help you get yourself straight so that you'll be on the right path. And then that path will lead you where you're supposed to be so that you can have the children you're supposed to have. But it turned out how it turned out. So I just urge you to be more responsible, that's all. And then on the other side of it, for those facing infertility, I just wish more couples could understand that a lot of times that's your body and the universe, your soul, whatever you believe in, but it's life's way of telling you you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet because there is still an ego-driven desire to control the situation, and you're lacking the patience and certain aspects of yourself that you need to actually be the proper parent for that child. And a lot of times what happens is the universe is trying to get you to go ahead and take on someone else's child who needs you. And then when you do that, and you, through that process, you learn the patience, you develop the patience and the skills, and you grow as a person from that experience. And then that will heal your body, and you will end up conceiving naturally. I'm not saying that's 100% guarantee. But if you want to talk anecdotal evidence, there are at least thousands upon thousands of cases. I'm sure way more than that. I don't know how many have actually ever been documented. But that is so often the story that you hear from people who were struggling to conceive. And then they finally give up and adopt someone else's child who needs them. And then lo and behold, they get a rainbow baby. I'm not trying to put anyone down, and I'm not trying to force my beliefs on anyone. It's just that from that higher level perspective, I wish more people would understand this, because it would save a lot of time, energy, and resources, and a whole lot of heartache. That's all. 1354-55. I don't know who this will help or if it'll help anyone at all. It might make a lot of people really angry with me, and I apologize. That's not my intention. I hope it helps someone today. Just remember, you are loved. You are forgiven. You can be saved. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what's been done to you. You can repent. You can repair. You can be redeemed. Much love.